Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. My wife dodged my kiss at our daughter's awards ceremony and said, "I'm not obligated to you." The words cut through the crowded school lobby like a knife. Parents turned to stare. Teachers stopped mid-conversation. Our 15-year-old daughter Holly stood there clutching her academic awards, tears forming in her eyes. I took a breath and looked at Diane. Really looked at her. The woman I'd spent 17 years building a life with had become a stranger. "You're absolutely right," I said, my voice calm and clear. "You're not obligated to me." I let that sink in for a moment. The lobby had gone completely silent. "Then I'm not obligated to you either." Her smug expression started to crack. "I'm not obligated to pay the mortgage on a house you treat like a prison. I'm not obligated to fund a lifestyle you claim to resent. I'm not obligated to provide health insurance for someone who sees me as the enemy. I'm not obligated to finance your online cult while you disrespect our family. And I'm certainly not obligated to stand here and watch you humiliate our daughter on the most important night of her academic life." The silence was deafening. Diane's face had gone pale. Her two friends, Crystal and Monica, stood frozen behind her, phones forgotten in their hands. I turned to Holly. "Holly, I'm so proud of you. These awards represent your hard work, your intelligence, your dedication. You earned every single one of them. I love you, and I'll always be here for you. Always." Holly nodded, unable to speak. I looked back at Diane one final time. "You wanted freedom from obligation. Congratulations. You're about to find out exactly what that means." Let me back up and explain how we got to that moment. Because 11 months ago, Diane wasn't the woman who humiliated our family in front of 200 people at Northview High School. The change started in January. I came home from a long surgery to find Diane scrolling through Instagram, completely absorbed. This wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the intensity with which she stared at her screen, occasionally nodding or making small sounds of agreement. "Everything okay?" I asked, loosening my tie. She glanced up briefly. "Fine. Just reading something interesting." I didn't think much of it. I'd just spent 12 hours performing a coronary bypass on a 7-year-old girl. My mind was still in the operating room, replaying every suture, every decision. I was exhausted and grateful that my wife had held down the fort at home. Looking back, that was the beginning. The Instagram accounts she followed were all about something called divine feminine energy and reclaiming sovereignty. I noticed the phrases popping up more frequently in her vocabulary: setting boundaries, honoring my authentic self, refusing to perform for the patriarchy. At first, I thought it was healthy. Diane had given up her nursing career 15 years earlier when Holly was born. We'd discussed it extensively, and she'd been adamant about wanting to be a stay-at-home mother. I supported that decision completely. My salary as a cardiothoracic surgeon at Emory University Hospital was more than enough to support our family comfortably. We lived in a beautiful house in Johns Creek. Holly attended one of the best private schools in Georgia, and we took nice vacations every year. But I understood that after 15 years of primarily focusing on household management and raising our daughter, Diane might be feeling a loss of identity. Holly was increasingly independent at 15, spending more time with friends and less time needing her mother. It made sense that Diane would want to explore new interests. In February, she announced she'd joined an online program called the Sovereign Woman's Circle. It cost $497 a month. "That's fine," I said when she told me. "What is it exactly?" "Personal development. Women supporting women." "You wouldn't understand." The dismissiveness in her tone caught me off guard. "Try me. It's about reclaiming power that society has conditioned us to give away, breaking free from limiting beliefs. It's very empowering." "Sounds interesting," I said, though something about her evasiveness bothered me. "Who runs it?" "A woman named Goddess Brandy. She's amazing. She's helped thousands of women wake up to their true potential." Goddess Brandy. The name alone should have been a red flag, but I was trying to be supportive. $497 a month was a lot, but we could afford it. If it made Diane happy and fulfilled, it seemed worth it. I wish I'd paid more attention to what happened next. March brought the first real incident. I was leaving early for surgery, a complicated procedure that required me at the hospital by 5:30 in the morning. I leaned in to kiss Diane goodbye, something we'd done every morning for 17 years. She turned her head away. I stood there, confused. "Everything okay?" I'm just not feeling obligated to perform affection on demand, she said, her eyes on her phone screen. Perform? The word stung. Diane, it's a goodbye kiss. It's not a performance. That's a patriarchal construct. My body, my choice. I stood in our kitchen, surgical scrubs on, coffee mug halfway to my lips, trying to process what I'd just heard. My wife of 17 years had just quoted what sounded like a political slogan in response to me trying to kiss her goodbye. Is something wrong? I asked carefully. Are you upset with me about something? I'm setting boundaries. You need to respect them. I left for work feeling like I'd been slapped. During the surgery, my mind kept wandering back to that moment. The coldness in her voice. The casual cruelty of turning away from a simple kiss. I'd seen patient spouses show more warmth to strangers than my wife had shown me that morning. That evening, I tried to talk to her about it. What happened this morning really hurt my feelings. I'm sorry you feel that way, she said, in a tone that suggested she was anything but sorry. But I'm learning not to prioritize male feelings over my own comfort. Since when is kissing your husband uncomfortable? Since I realized I've been conditioned to provide emotional and physical labor without questioning whether I actually want to. I stared at her. Emotional labor? We're talking about a kiss goodbye. That's exactly the kind of minimizing language that the patriarchy uses to maintain control, she said, and I realized she was quoting something. These weren't her words. They were someone else's words coming out of her mouth. In April, we attended a family dinner at my brother Kevin's house in Roswell. My parents were visiting from Tennessee. It should have been a pleasant evening. Instead, it became the first public display of Diane's transformation. My mother, trying to make conversation, complimented Diane on how nice our house looked. You've always kept such a beautiful home, she said warmly. Diane's response was sharp. Yes, I'm very good at unpaid domestic labor. The table went silent. My father looked confused. Kevin's wife Patricia stared at her plate. Diane, I said quietly, Mom was giving you a compliment. Was she? Or was she reinforcing patriarchal expectations that women's value is tied to housekeeping? My mother's face fell. She was a kind woman who'd worked as an elementary school teacher for 30 years while also managing a household and raising 2 sons. The implication that she was somehow oppressing other women by complimenting home management skills clearly hurt her. Kevin tried to change the subject. Holly, your dad tells me you made honor roll again. That's fantastic. Before Holly could respond, Diane interjected. Holly doesn't need patriarchal validation through grades. Holly's face turned bright red. At 15, she was already self-conscious and sensitive. Having her mother dismiss her academic achievements in front of her grandparents and uncle was humiliating. Mom, Holly said quietly, can we not? I'm trying to teach you not to seek approval from systems designed to rank and control you. I saw Holly's eyes welling up with tears. That's when I stepped in. Diane, that's enough. Holly worked hard for those grades, and she should be proud of them. Of course you defend the patriarchal system. You benefit from it. The rest of the dinner was painfully awkward. We left early. In the car, Holly was silent in the back seat. I could see her in the rearview mirror, staring out the window. Your grandmother was just being nice? I said to Diane once we were on the highway. She wasn't attacking you. You don't get it. Women are conditioned to accept compliments that reinforce their subjugation. Subjugation? You chose to stop working. I supported that choice. I've supported every choice you've made. Because you benefit from my unpaid labor. You get to be the successful surgeon while I'm stuck at home. Stuck? You said you wanted to raise Holly yourself. You said it was important to you. That's what I was conditioned to want. I pulled into our driveway and turned off the engine. Who's conditioning you now, Diane? Because you didn't talk like this 6 months ago. She got out of the car without answering. Later that night, Holly texted me. I was back in the guest room where I'd been sleeping increasingly often, trying to give Diane space to work through whatever this was. The text read, Is Mom okay? That was really weird. I didn't know what to tell her. May brought my 44th birthday. I'd made reservations at the Oceanair, an upscale restaurant in Atlanta that we'd been going to for years. Special occasions, anniversaries, celebrations. It was our place. Diane forgot entirely. When I reminded her that morning, she said, I don't celebrate patriarchal milestones. I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Birthdays are patriarchal now. They're just another way men expect emotional labor from women. I'm not participating. It's my birthday, Diane. I thought we could have a nice dinner together. I'm not obligated to celebrate you. I canceled the reservation. That evening, Holly baked me a small chocolate cake. She was crying as she brought it out with candles lit. I'm sorry Mom forgot, she said. It's okay, sweetheart. This is perfect. Diane walked into the kitchen, saw the cake, and said to Holly, Don't learn to center men in your life. It's a trap. Holly's tears intensified. I put my arm around her. Don't you dare, I said to Diane. Don't take this out on her. I'm trying to teach her not to become a man's servant. By being cruel to her? By making her feel bad for doing something kind for her father? You're using the daughter card to manipulate me. Classic male tactic. I took Holly out for ice cream instead. We sat in the parking lot of Bruster's while she cried into her mint chocolate chip. What happened to Mom? She asked. I don't know, honey. I really don't know. That night, I slept in the guest room again. The next morning, I suggested marriage counseling. Diane laughed. Therapy is designed to gaslight women into accepting abuse. I'm not going to sit in a room and be told my feelings aren't valid. What abuse, Diane? What have I done? You don't even see it. That's the problem. In June, the hospital held its annual charity gala at the Four Seasons. It was a black tie event to raise money for pediatric cardiac research. I'd been asked to give a brief speech about a recent breakthrough in surgical technique that had saved several children's lives. I begged Diane to come. Please. This is important for my career. Just this one event. She agreed, but I should have known something was wrong when she came downstairs wearing jeans and a t-shirt that read, Smash the Patriarchy, in large letters. Diane, it's black tie. I'm not dressing up to play accessory at your patriarchal celebration. We argued for 20 minutes. Finally, I went alone, texting her that I'd explained to people she wasn't feeling well. 30 minutes later, she showed up, in the jeans and t-shirt. I was in the middle of a conversation with the hospital's chief of surgery and his wife when Diane appeared. Dr. Richardson's expression flickered with surprise, but he was too polite to say anything. During cocktail hour, I watched in horror as Diane approached a major donor's wife and launched into a lecture about how hospitals exploit nurses. The woman made a hasty exit. When Dr. Richardson congratulated me on the research recognition, Diane interrupted. How many female surgeons did you pass over for this recognition? Dr. Richardson looked at me, concern evident in his eyes. Is everything all right, Warren? I'm fine, sir. I apologize for. Stop apologizing for me, Diane snapped. I'm allowed to speak. During my speech, I looked out and saw Diane in the audience, scrolling through her phone, making no attempt to hide it. Other attendees noticed. I could see them whispering to each other. After the event, the hospital president's wife approached me. Warren, if you need any support or resources, please don't hesitate to reach out. The pity in her eyes made me want to disappear. In the car, I lost my composure. You tried to sabotage my career tonight. I refuse to be your accessory at patriarchal celebrations. That was my professional reputation. My colleagues. The people I work with every day. Your reputation is built on a system that oppresses women. We live off my income, Diane. Do you understand that? Your lifestyle, this house, Holly's private school, everything you have comes from that system you're so eager to attack. That's exactly the problem. I shouldn't have to depend on your income. You chose to stop working. Because society forced me into that role. No one forced you. We discussed it. We decided together. I was conditioned to make that choice. Now I'm awake. The next day, Dr. Richardson called me into his office. Warren, I need to ask, is everything okay at home? The humiliation of having my boss ask about my marriage was almost unbearable. We're going through a rough patch. I apologize for last night. You don't need to apologize. I'm concerned about you and about your daughter. If you need time off, or if there are resources you need, the hospital has programs. I thanked him and left, feeling like I'd aged 10 years overnight. That evening, I did something I'd been avoiding. I started documenting everything. Every incident, every cruel comment, every public humiliation. I took screenshots of Diane's social media posts. I noted dates, times, witnesses. I also called a divorce attorney named Mark Silverman. In July, Diane announced she wanted back pay for 15 years of homemaking. She'd calculated, based on formulas from her Sovereign Woman Circle, that I owed her $900,000. That's not how marriage works, I said. Marriage is legalized prostitution. I'm demanding fair compensation. She showed me posts from Goddess Brandy explaining how men financially abuse women by not paying them for domestic labor. The posts had thousands of likes and comments from women celebrating their financial liberation. "This is insane," I said. "I've provided everything you needed for 17 years. Provided? Listen to yourself. You gave me money like I was your employee. That's not a partnership. I put money in our joint account. You spent it however you wanted. How is that not a partnership? Because you had the power. You controlled the income. You could have kept working. You chose not to. And now I'm demanding compensation for that choice. I'm not giving you $900,000, Diane. Then I'll expose you for the financial abuser you are." That night, I opened a separate bank account. I changed my direct deposit to go into the new account, leaving only enough in our joint account to cover household expenses. I moved money from our savings into the new account, carefully calculating what portion I could legally claim as mine. I met with Mark Silverman again and put him on retainer. I wasn't leaving yet. I wanted to get through Holly's academic awards ceremony in November. She'd worked so hard all semester, and I didn't want my marital problems to overshadow her achievements. I told myself I could hold on for 4 more months. In August, Holly started seeing a therapist. She'd been withdrawn, her grades slipping. When I asked if she wanted to talk to someone, she nodded gratefully. Diane refused to participate in family counseling, calling it the mental health industrial complex. Holly told me after her first session that she'd cried for 30 minutes straight. "I told Dr. Hartwell, I don't understand why Mom hates Dad so much," she said. Dr. Hartwell said she doesn't think Mom hates you. She thinks Mom is confused. "Your mom is going through something," I said carefully. "But that doesn't mean you have to accept how she's treating us." "I'm scared, Dad. What if you guys get divorced?" I couldn't lie to her. "I don't know what's going to happen, Holly. But I promise you, no matter what happens between your mom and me, you'll always be loved and taken care of." She hugged me tightly. "Can I live with you if you leave?" The question broke my heart. Let's not worry about that right now. September brought the social media explosion. I was in surgery when it happened, so I didn't see it until hours later. By then, it had been shared thousands of times. Diane had written a long Facebook post detailing every perceived grievance from our 17-year marriage. She accused me of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, and something she called weaponized incompetence. She tagged mutual friends, my colleagues, even the hospital. The post read, in part, "After 17 years of unpaid domestic servitude, I'm finally awake. My so-called husband has exploited my labor while taking credit for providing. He expects me to perform affection on demand, to smile pretty at his professional events, to center his needs above my own sovereignty. I am done being his employee. I am done with the obligation. I choose freedom." By the time I got out of surgery and checked my phone, I had 63 text messages. "My brother, what the hell is this?" A colleague, "Do you need help?" Holly's friend's mother, "Is this true?" I drove home in a daze. Holly met me at the door, her face blotchy from crying. "Everyone at school saw it," she whispered. "Everyone." I hugged her. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Why would she do this? Why would she tell everyone our business?" I had no answer. That night, I confronted Diane. "You've crossed a line." I told my truth. "You can't silence me. You humiliated our daughter." Her classmates saw that post. Holly needs to learn that women don't have to protect men's reputations. I pulled out my phone and showed her the texts from Holly's friends' parents. Messages of concern. Messages asking if Holly was okay. Messages that made it clear our entire community now knew our marriage was falling apart. "Would you stay in a relationship where someone talked to you like this?" I asked. I'm standing up for myself. "You're destroying our family." There is no family. Family is a patriarchal construct designed to trap women. October arrived with falling leaves and my final attempt to salvage something. I gave her an ultimatum: marriage counseling or divorce. She laughed. Classic male manipulation tactic. "I'm serious, Diane. This marriage is destroying all of us. We need help." There is no marriage. Marriage is a patriarchal prison. I'm just occupying your house until I decide my next move. Then decide quickly. You can't kick me out. I have rights. And I have options. 2 weeks before Holly's ceremony, I met with Mark again. "Prepare the papers," I said. "But don't file yet. Holly has her academic awards ceremony coming up. I want to get through that without drama." Mark nodded. Georgia is an equitable division state. With the documentation you've provided and the house being purchased before marriage, you're in a strong position. I don't care about winning. I just want out. You should care, especially about custody. Holly is 15. Her preference will matter. I finalized the condo rental that same week and scheduled movers for the day after the ceremony. I spent my evenings preparing documents, asset lists, custody proposals, insurance transition plans, everything laid out clearly so there would be no confusion about what came next. 1 week before the event, I made one final attempt with Diane. She's getting the principal's award. This is a huge honor. Can you please just show up and be kind? I'm not going to celebrate Holly conforming to patriarchal academic standards. This is important to her. I don't owe you or Holly a performance. She's your daughter, and I'm modeling self-sovereignty for her. That's when I knew it was truly over. She wouldn't even support our own daughter. November 14th arrived cold and clear. The condo in Buckhead was ready, movers scheduled for the next day. Everything was planned. I just had to get through one more night. The ceremony was at 7. I arrived at 6:30 and saved seats near the front. Northview High School's auditorium was packed. Holly was backstage with the other honor students, nervous but excited. She'd texted me earlier, "Don't let Mom ruin this, okay?" I promised I'd try. The ceremony began. The principal, Dr. Foster, welcomed everyone. Students began receiving the first few awards. I kept glancing back, hoping Diane would arrive. 10 minutes into the ceremony, she finally appeared, and she wasn't alone. 2 women I'd never met were with her. They found seats 3 rows behind me. I heard one of them whisper loudly, "Is that him?" The awards continued. Each time a name was called, proud parents stood and applauded. When Holly's name was called for her first award, AP Scholar, I stood and clapped as loud as I could. Behind me, Diane remained seated. I heard one of her friends say something about patriarchal brainwashing. Other parents turned to look. I felt my face burning, but kept my focus on Holly. She accepted her award certificate and looked into the audience. I saw her face fall when she spotted her mother sitting with her arms crossed. The next award was Math Department Excellence. Again, I stood. Again, Diane sat. Then Science Olympiad Team Captain. Same thing. Then came the Principal's Award for Academic Excellence, the highest honor a student could receive. Dr. Foster called Holly's name with obvious pride. This student exemplifies everything we hope to cultivate in our young scholars. I stood, my eyes wet. Holly walked across the stage, shook Dr. Foster's hand, and accepted the plaque. The applause was thunderous. Every parent was standing. Every parent except Diane. She was on her phone, apparently filming the moment vertically. After the ceremony, families gathered in the lobby for photographs. I found Holly backstage. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." She hugged me tight. "Where's Mom?" We found Diane near the exit with her 2 friends. They were laughing about something. I approached carefully. "Can we get a family photo with Holly?" Diane barely glanced at us. "I don't do performative family photos." Holly's face crumpled. "Diane, please." "For Holly." One of her friends, a woman with short dark hair, smirked. "Don't let him guilt you, Diane." 5 minutes, I said, trying to keep my voice level. "That's all I'm asking. I don't owe you my time." People were starting to notice. I saw Dr. Foster look over with concern. I gently touched Diane's elbow. "Can we talk? Privately?" She jerked away like I'd burned her. "Don't touch me without consent." The lobby conversation quieted. Parents turned. "I just want to talk to you for 1 minute." "I don't owe you my time," she repeated, louder this time. Holly stood frozen, clutching her awards. Her friends were watching. Her teachers were watching. Dr. Foster was watching. I tried once more, my voice barely above a whisper. "Please. For Holly." The other friend, a blonde woman, pulled out her phone and started recording. And then, in a moment of pure instinct, a gesture made thousands of times over 17 years, I leaned in to kiss Diane's cheek. She dodged away, her face contorted with disgust. "I'm not obligated to you," she said loudly. The lobby went completely silent. I stood there, feeling every eye in that room on us. Holly's face had gone white. Dr. Foster was moving toward us. And something inside me, something that had been bending for 11 months, finally broke. "You're absolutely right," I said, my voice calm and clear. "You're not obligated to me." I let that sink in. Diane's smug expression suggested she thought she'd won. Then I'm not obligated to you either. Her smile faltered. I'm not obligated to pay the mortgage on a house you treat like a prison. I'm not obligated to fund a lifestyle you claim to resent. I'm not obligated to provide health insurance for someone who sees me as the enemy. I'm not obligated to finance your online cult while you disrespect our family. And I'm certainly not obligated to stand here and watch you humiliate our daughter on the most important night of her academic life. You could have heard a pin drop. I turned to Holly. Holly, I'm so proud of you. These awards represent your hard work, your intelligence, your dedication. You earned every single one of them. I love you, and I'll always be here for you. Always. Holly's eyes were full of tears, but she nodded. I looked at Diane's friends. And you too? You helped destroy a 17-year marriage and traumatize a 15-year-old girl for what? Social media content? I hope it was worth it. Then back to Diane. You wanted freedom from obligation. Congratulations. You're about to find out exactly what that means. I put my arm around Holly and walked toward the exit. Behind us, I heard Diane's sharp intake of breath. Someone started whispering. I heard Dr. Foster say, perhaps we should all give the family some privacy. In the parking lot, Holly cried against my chest. Dad, what's happening? Your mom and I are separating, honey. I'm moving out tomorrow. Because of tonight? No. Tonight was just the end of something that's been dying for a long time. Did she ever love us? The question destroyed me. She did. She does, in her way. But she's lost right now. Very lost. My phone started buzzing. Diane. I silenced it. Where are we going? Holly asked. To Waffle House. We're celebrating your awards properly. We sat in a booth at the Waffle House off Old Alabama Road. Holly ordered her usual pecan waffle with hot chocolate. I ordered coffee I wouldn't drink and watched my daughter try to process her mother's public betrayal. Is it my fault? She asked quietly. No, none of this is your fault. Your mother made choices. Bad choices. But you did nothing wrong. She wasn't always like this. No, she wasn't. What happened to her? I thought about Goddess Brandy and the Sovereign Woman Circle. About the constant barrage of messages telling women that their husbands were oppressors, that marriage was servitude, that obligation was slavery. I thought about how those messages had found a woman who was already feeling lost after 15 years of diminished identity, how they'd offered her simple answers to complex feelings. She got manipulated, I said, by people who profit from making women angry at their families. Can she get better? I don't know, sweetheart. I hope so, but I can't wait around to find out. The next morning, movers arrived at 8. I'd been up since 5, packing the last of my things. Diane emerged from our bedroom looking confused and disheveled. You're really doing this? Yes. You were serious last night? Completely. I handed her a folder. Inside was my lease agreement for the Buckhead condo, bank statements showing the separate account, a list of assets and proposed division, temporary custody arrangements, and health insurance transition information. She flipped through the pages, her face growing paler. You've been planning this. For months. Yes. Behind my back. I was preparing for the inevitable. There's a difference. What about Holly? Holly has her own room at my place. She can stay wherever she's most comfortable. You can't just take my daughter. I'm not taking her. She's 15. She'll have a say in where she lives. Diane sank onto the couch. Everyone saw what happened last night. Yes, they did. There's video. Crystal told me. It's all over Facebook. I know. People are saying horrible things about me. I stopped packing and looked at her. What did you expect, Diane? You humiliated our daughter at her awards ceremony. You refused to even clap for her. You sat there filming it for your online friends like it was a spectacle. I was documenting. You were being cruel. And now you get to live with the consequences. Crystal and Monica won't answer my calls. Because they help create a mess they don't want to be associated with. That's what happens with online friends. They're not real friends. They're an audience. The movers took the last box. I grabbed my car keys. The mortgage is due next week, I said. I've paid this month. After that, you're on your own. I can't afford this house by myself. Then you'll need to make some changes. Get a job, find roommates, sell the house, and move somewhere cheaper. Figure it out. This is my home. This was our home. You made it very clear that everything I provided was oppression. Now you're free from all that oppression. I walked out. In my rearview mirror, I saw her standing in the driveway, looking small and lost. Holly stayed with me that first week. She went to school, but came home to my condo every day. Her bedroom was already set up. I'd spent weeks making sure it felt like home, with her favorite bedding, her posters, her books. "It's nice here," she said on the third night, eating the sushi I'd ordered from Nakado. "Quiet." "Yeah. Mom's been calling me a lot, asking when I'm coming home." "That's up to you, honey. You can see your mom whenever you want." "I don't want to right now." "Is that bad?" "No. You're allowed to have boundaries." That's what she always says. About boundaries. Real boundaries are about protecting yourself, not about being cruel to people who love you. There's a difference. Holly continued her weekly sessions with Dr. Hartwell, working through the trauma of that night and her mother's transformation. The therapist helped her understand that none of it was her fault. The video I'd known about since the morning after went viral in Atlanta parenting groups. By the end of the week, it had been shared over 12,000 times. The comments were brutal. "That poor kid." The father showed incredible restraint. "The mother is clearly having a mental breakdown." "Those friends recording it are disgusting." Several people recognized Diane and posted about their own experiences with her. Our neighbor mentioned the time Diane had lectured her husband about male privilege when he offered to help carry groceries. A former friend talked about how Diane had turned every conversation into a political debate. Crystal and Monica's social media accounts were flooded with negative comments. Within days, both women had locked their profiles and gone silent. Diane tried calling me dozens of times. When I didn't answer, she sent texts. "Everyone is turning against me. My own friends won't talk to me. People are saying horrible things about me online. You destroyed my reputation in this town." I didn't respond. In December, Diane got a job at Target. 25 hours a week at $15 an hour. She posted about it on Facebook, framing it as choosing financial independence. The comments were sparse and mostly from her sovereign woman circle friends. Generic messages like, "You're so brave," and "Queen energy." Holly visited her mother once that month at my encouragement. She came back after 2 hours looking exhausted. "How was it?" I asked. She cried a lot. She kept saying you turned everyone against her. That you're poisoning me. What do you think? I think she did it to herself. On January 15th, I filed for divorce. The petition laid out exactly what I'd shown Diane in November. Irretrievable breakdown of the marriage. The house remaining mine since it was purchased before we married. My retirement accounts staying with me, given I'd contributed 95% of the funds, modest alimony for 2 years, and shared custody with Holly's preference considered. Diane's attorney advised her that my proposal was generous given the circumstances. She wanted to fight anyway. But fighting required money for attorneys, and she didn't have it. By February, Diane was forced to move out of the house. She found a studio apartment in Doraville for $900 a month. I helped Holly pack what she wanted to keep. We drove past Diane's new place once. Holly stared at the aging building and said nothing. The court appointed a guardian ad litem to interview Holly. The woman, an experienced family attorney named Barbara Reynolds, spent 2 hours talking with Holly, then met with both Diane and me separately. Her report was clear. Holly wanted to live primarily with me. She was willing to visit Diane, but found her mother's living situation unstable and stressful. The report noted my consistent parenting, stable home environment, and Holly's strong academic performance since moving in with me. In March, Diane started court-ordered therapy. The therapist, Dr. Lisa Hartwell, began the slow work of unpacking what had happened. Diane was resistant at first, clinging to the language of the sovereign woman circle. But Dr. Hartwell was patient and skilled. "These groups use cult tactics," she told Diane in a session I learned about later. "Love bombing, isolation from family, thought-terminating cliches, us versus them mentality. You weren't enlightened. You were manipulated." The divorce was finalized in June. The settlement was close to my proposal. I kept the house and retirement accounts. Diane received $2,000 monthly in alimony for 30 months. The judge was slightly more generous than the 2 years I'd proposed, plus $1,200 in child support. With her target income, she had about $4,500 a month. With her alimony secured, she moved to a slightly better one-bedroom apartment for $1,100 monthly. Holly visited for dinner weekly. The visits were cordial but strained. "She apologizes a lot," Holly told me. "But it's like she doesn't really understand what she's apologizing for." In July, Atlanta magazine exposed Goddess Brandy. Multiple bankruptcies, failed marriages, $2 million extracted from vulnerable women through predatory tactics. Diane called me after reading it. I was so stupid. You were vulnerable. They prey on that. I destroyed everything. Yes, but what matters now is rebuilding with Holly. She needs a stable mother. I'm trying. Then keep trying. 8 months after the divorce, life had settled. Holly was thriving academically, her grades back to straight A's. I'd started dating Jennifer Cole, a pediatric anesthesiologist. Holly liked her. Diane struggled on her target salary. Her alimony would end in 22 months. She'd started renewing her nursing license, but it would take time and money. She was lonely. Her dating profile got little attention. Everyone in Atlanta knows what I did, she told Holly. That video haunts me. On Holly's 16th birthday, I took her to Aria with Jennifer. We celebrated her year, her resilience, her strength. Thanks for always being there, Dad, she said. Even when things were crazy. Always, sweetheart. Always. Across town, Diane sat alone. Holly had sent a text. Thanks for the birthday card. Maybe lunch next week? A small olive branch. Diane typed back. I'd love that. I love you. Holly read it, but didn't respond. Diane understood. She'd have to earn trust back, one lunch at a time. The freedom she'd chased came with a price she was still paying. She'd learned too late that obligation and love weren't opposites. She'd wanted freedom from obligation and got freedom from partnership, security, respect, and daily connection with her daughter. I learned that self-respect isn't negotiable. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling destructive behavior. Holly is 16 now, a high school junior applying to colleges. Diane and I co-parent civilly. She's more stable, working on herself. I'm happy with Jennifer, building something real based on mutual respect. No one owes anyone anything, but we choose to show up for each other anyway. That night when Diane said she wasn't obligated to me, she spoke a truth she didn't understand. Neither of us was obligated to the other. Marriage is a choice both people make every day. She stopped choosing me months before. I just finally stopped choosing her back. And sometimes, that's exactly what freedom looks like. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.